Hi, this is Jeff with the INTJ equation, and today I'm going to talk about SI, introverted sensing, kind of how it manifests in general, how it manifests in higher SI users, and how it manifests in INTJs and INFJs as SI demon. But before I get into the content, please make sure you like, share, subscribe this video if you do enjoy this content. Add me on social media, most active on Instagram at INTJ equation all the way around. I have a Discord server, which is down in a link below. And also, my website's www.intjequation.com. Okay, let's talk a little about SI here in general. SI is all about personal comfort and collecting personal experiences. They kind of rely on SE users to give them those personal experiences. I've talked in my last video, I've talked to several NFPs mostly. Not high SI users. I definitely want to get to them soon and interview them and kind of use my NI to collect data on them in an intrinsic way. But I consistently hear that they like their hand held when getting new experiences. So SI users can be a little timid and a little resistant to change, but really they are about tradition and keeping things going, keeping the things the way they were. That's why I like high SI users like ISTJs, ESFJs, all the ESFJs, basically the SJs. They really are about family gatherings, family reunions, religion, ceremonies, holidays. They're really, really big on that sort of thing. And that's something that INTJs kind of, there's a lot of INTJs who do enjoy that, so don't get me wrong, but it's usually not the most important thing in our lives. Especially for us, I guess, who don't really have a big social circle, or so to speak. But they do like to collect the past experiences, and that's kind of how they problem solve. A lot of people kind of compare it to NI, but it's quite a bit different in a lot of ways. They're both perceiving functions according to MBTI, whatever you want to go by, but Jung called them the irrational functions because they're not really like a decision-making function. They're more of an information-gathering function. NI kind of gathers past experiences and kind of predicts how the future is going to turn out or what's the best decision going forward. SI gets past experiences and kind of does it to the present moment, to the here and now, and kind of in a more concrete, realistic way where like NI users would do it more in an intrinsic, futuristic, theoretical way of gathering information. SI users, they have really good long-term memory compared to SE users. Like I use my NI for long-term memories for certain things, but it might be some weird thing I heard like in the third grade, something about Christopher Columbus. Like it's just weird. Like I knew this fact would be important in the future, just for like an example. In 20, 30 years down the road, something comes up where I remember that fact and it was relevant to the situation. It's almost like a deja vu sort of thing. It's a strange phenomenon. So people with higher SI tend to live longer on average. A lot of the reasons I think is because they're less risk averse. They're the ones who won't go out and, are less likely to be first responders. I guess they definitely can be, but they're more like the judges and the lawyers rather than the police officers like SE users would be. Not the protectors, they're the keepers basically. They like to keep things the way they were. Like I had a ESTJ judge who I butted heads with very badly. And he did everything he could to try to keep my son basically out of my custody full time and was giving his mom every opportunity he could, even though she wasn't the best fit. And I quote him here, I don't know what's traditional here anymore, but he pretty much gave me what I wanted. I guess that was kind of like a NI-SI duel in a sort of way. But it was for good reasons. It was for the safety of my son. And like I said, his mother wasn't the most fit at the time. Not to trash talk her in any way. She definitely turned her life around and is doing well. But just an example that I wanted to give, even though it wasn't the right thing to do, it was the right thing because that was the traditional thing that mothers typically took care of the children. Like I said, they're very past focused. Like, mother and children should have been like that for most of eternity and while men were off fighting the war, but things change, obviously, and yeah, sometimes the men need to be caretakers, and just because they're men doesn't mean they are unfit to do so. Like I said, they live longer. They definitely have more discipline, and they're able to take care of themselves, stick to regimens and diets and exercise routines a lot easier. They can take a lot of punishment. They can just be dealt a lot. I think high SI users are actually less affected by trauma than SE users. I think SE users, when they're affected by trauma, they're more likely to become criminals, or they're more likely to get certain personality disorders. But I know, like, one big thing that STJs can get especially is obsessive compulsive personality disorder. Like, I talk about personality disorder sometimes. And now it's not OCD where you flip a light switch 37 times to make sure that it's on. It's more like you have these obsessions and you put it on to other people. Like, you become this commanding, domineering person in a very controlling way. And it's really like an anxiety sort of thing, I guess. It's very anxious based. They can be definitely more patient. They're less rageful. They don't get upset as easy. I think that just goes to being able to take their time and think about the past, and where Essie's more in the moment, more now, more I want results now, gimme, 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 pretty much sort of thing. To get into a little bit more about high SI users like SJs, pretty much more or less, SI is a very affiliative function, meaning they're concerned about doing what's right, what's traditional, what's always been done, what's the group consensus, basically. They're less risk-taking. They kind of keep SPs in control, like the ESTPs, ESFPs, ISFPs, ISTPs, who can be very impulsive at times, very reckless at times. They kind of need them to kind of keep each other in check, but SI users can be super dull and super boring at times, and the SPs kind of bring out some funness and lightness and make things a little bit more bearable for everybody, basically. Like, I had a ESTJ supervisor in my last job, and we butted heads quite a bit. I got my job done, but I didn't get a job exactly the way that she wanted to do, so she would always try to watch over my shoulder and make sure I was doing things by the book, or at least her book. And I just don't appreciate micromanagement. High SI users, they learn a lot by practice and choreography. They typically learn a lot slower, but they can remember the steps much longer. They can become great dancers and great martial artists. Maybe not in a competitive sense, but more like Michael Jackson sort of way, who's considered one of the best dancers. I'm not that big into dancing, especially his weird grabbing his private dancing and stuff. I talked a little bit about the bad things and the good things. I'm going to go more into the bad things about SI. They can be really closed-minded, especially STJs. Like I said, they want to keep things the same. They don't want things to progress or change. They really hate chaos. They really hate disorder, but you can't really have change without chaos ensuing. Change comes from chaos. Things changing is chaotic. So they want to keep things in this, they want to be in this little bubble, and they really need SC users to kind of bring them out of that bubble and bring things forward. Especially like intuitives, basically, that's about future thinking. We need to change these things, like, healthcare reform and stuff. It isn't working anymore. Social Security, what are we going to do when we're older? We're kind of screwed if the system stays in place, and we need change. They're very adamant about keeping things the way they are. A lot of the things because they're comfortable and they're getting these things, but are we going to have these things in 20, 30 years when people my age need them? A lot of times they're just by the book, then the book needs to be rewritten. They're unwilling to compromise. Goes back to the change. It's really big about change and keeping things the same. Very, very past focused. They can be very, very overbearing, wanting to control people. It really drives me up the wall, especially not really having much SI. They can be very timid, less risk adverse. Again, keeping things the same, being comfortable, staying where they are. And they have less physical awareness around them. They're not the most athletic all the time. They definitely can be, but I think it definitely takes a lot of practice and diligence. It just doesn't come as natural to them. Now I want to talk a little bit about SI Demon, which is the last function in the stack, the demon archetype, according to Jung and John Beebe. It's the nastiest part of the personality, which affects both INTJs and INFJs. SI is really about self-care and self-health. Like, I didn't develop a sleeping schedule until I was about 30. I would literally sleep 2 or 3 hours here, 2 or 3 hours there, and I think it really wrecked my health and caused a lot of long-term consequences to my own personal health, like sleep apnea. I think it contributed to that. I have severe sleep apnea. And we just do things a lot of things that a lot of people think that INTJs, INFJs can do things like overeat or overindulge in sex or alcohol because of SE inferior. That's a part of it. It's SE inferiors on orbit with SI demon, or we know these things are bad, but we do them anyways because it's a very poor coping skill, I guess. We get burnt out really, really easy. INTJ, or people think that INTJs can really get through anything, but in short bursts we can. We need plenty of rest. We need to kind of go in our own little cave and introvert for a while and get away from the world. SI users just kind of keep going and going and going. Yeah, I mean, we kind of see it as a ploy, or at least I definitely do. Not that INTJs can't be religious. I have a Muslim girl who I believe is an INTJ, but she's definitely in Indonesia. And that's totally a different culture than where I'm at. You can definitely look at Christianity, for example. It was a very small cult until Constantine wanted to use it to unify the Roman Empire. It was basically scattered and had mostly pagan influence there and pagan religions. He supposedly had a dream where he saw a cross or something like that. He probably was intuitive himself in a lot of ways, and a lot of intuitives have not so good intentions. Anyways, yeah, we're not very religious. We definitely can be, so it's a stereotype, but kind of on average, we're the least religious of all the types. There's an INTJ, INFJ door slam that a lot of people hear about. This is a lot because of any nemesis and SI demon tag teaming up. Basically, with SI demon, INFJs, INTJs, we can remember all the bad things that people said and done to us, or the bad experience that we had from doing things. I think that's we can be very susceptible to past trauma because we just remember all the bad things that happened to us, and it kind of keeps us frozen. And with our any nemesis, for example, I had a friend in high school, we were kind of pranksters. And we would just basically pull these pranks. And one ESTP kid, this is real common with young INTJs especially, he said that my friend was going around bragging about this one prank we did. We got this stuff, it's called fly attractant. It's basically death in a bottle. Sounds like someone just grinded up bodies and liquefied it and put it into a bottle. I know it's gross and it smelled horrible. And you pour it in a gallon jug with water and dilute it, and flies go in there and die to keep them away from, cattle and, wherever flies congregate. Anyways, our goal was to get the school shut down for at least one day, which we did reach that goal. We poured it in one of the halls in our high school, and it ended up getting shut down, and they had to clean it for a day or two. We had to make the days up at the end of the year, unfortunately. And we almost got caught doing it, but we didn't. But anyways, this ESTP guy just told my ENTP friend that he was just going around bragging about this, and automatically I just door slammed him. And, something that I regret, and I lost a good friend from it, so definitely be mindful of that, especially if you're younger. And there's also a rumor that we can get these really rare diseases and conditions, and we can recover from it because of our NI. We can just kind of get through any obstacle in the short term. I personally haven't had any rare diseases or conditions that I know of. Hopefully I don't, or don't ever. But yeah, we have some of the poorest health ever. A lot of INTJs. You can see that I'm a little overweight and I keep ballooning up and down. My personal SI demons are overeating. I overindulge in food. It can definitely be worse. Not like I'm shooting heroin or anything. But, yeah, we're all human too. So, it's good just to take breaks, take care of yourself, diet, exercise, you can definitely need SI users in life. They can definitely kind of help us and teach you things and kind of keep us in line with those sort of things. So definitely consider that. Thank you for watching this video on SI. Please, if you haven't yet, like, share, subscribe. Tell your friends about this content. Leave a comment below. Send me an email, intjequation@gmail.com. Join the Discord server. Hit me up there if you have any questions. Let me know down below in the description or in the comments if you like this, don't like this, I left something out. You disagree, you agree. Yeah, just communicate. I'm here. Thank you for going beyond the clickbait. Have a great day.